the white folk didn't know what to do. He walked in and said, "No, right? Everybody on the goddamn blow."
What's going on, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Tunji's podcast. I'm your host, Tunji Taylor Lewis. Guys, before I get started, I want to talk about today. Just wanted to give you guys a little bit of an update on how my journey on, taking care of my health and exercising consistently is going. Today, I reached what I consider to be a very big turning point for myself. I was able to get up early this morning after getting only about 5 hours sleep. Sade had a show yesterday. For those of you who were at the railway show yesterday, thank you so much for coming out and supporting her. She did an amazing job, but because of how late the show was running, I didn't end up getting to bed until I can't remember what time it was, around 1:30, something like that. And then in order to get to the gym for this boxing lesson, I'd have to wake up at 6:30. That's not something I would usually elect to do. Usually I skip the day and go the other day, but today I was able to motivate myself enough to wake up, go through the workout, and not only go through with the workout but make it through a full day of work. My strategy was to not drink any coffee, because if you drink coffee, then you're gonna be on this high and then you're gonna crash hard, and then it's gonna be even harder to make it through the day. So it was just like willpower, and I'm just very happy that I was in that mindset throughout the day and I was able to get it done. We'll see how the rest of the week goes as far as my fatigue, but anyway, now that we got that cleared up, guys, I want to talk about the title of this podcast is called "Put Some Respect on Steve Harvey's Name." Put some respect on Steve Harvey's name. I feel like Steve Harvey is so underrated. I feel like he's so disrespected. I just feel like not enough people are appreciating this man for how great and amazing he is for a multitude of reasons, but especially as a comedian. I could get into all this stuff, like people getting after him on Twitter and stuff like that, and people getting after him for the whole the Miss World pageant and all that stuff. Yeah, I could get out into all that stuff, but my number one gripe with people's disrespect of Steve Harvey is with the comedy community, because Comedy Central a while back put out a list of the 100 greatest stand-up comedians of all time, and I'm pretty sure that every other member of the Kings of Comedy were on that list except for Steve Harvey, which is absolutely ridiculous. I mean, look, other than Bernie Mac, nobody in that group is better than Steve Harvey. I love Cedric the Entertainer. I love D.L. Hughley. They're both amazing comedians, but neither one of those guys is better than Steve Harvey, just straight up. I don't know if people at Comedy Central have something against Steve Harvey. I don't know if he just does stuff that's just completely centric to black people. I don't know. But Steve Harvey, and so basically what I wanted to do today was sort of break down the reasons why Steve Harvey is, in my estimation, one of the greatest stand-up comedians of all time. He's not just a game show host. He's not just a morning show host. He's not just a radio host. He's not just a host. He hosts a lot of stuff now that I think about it, godly. But his career as a stand-up should be considered one of the, not just the top 100, but one of the top 50 greatest careers of all time. Number one, the number one reason why I think he's one of the greatest of all time is his presence, man. This man's stage presence. I'm gonna show you a clip of him right now. When he walks out on stage, he's just the man. And that something, whether you're an actor, whether you're in theater, whether you're a stand-up comedian, when you come out on stage and everybody immediately likes you or like gravitates to you upon seeing you, that's just something you can't teach. Like, stage presence is not something that you can like necessarily define. It's just, you just know it when you see it. And he still does it to this day, like on Family Food. Like, he'll come out and like he'll be like, oh, all right now, like point to people in the crowd and all that stuff. And I think the big thing about presence is that you don't have to put in a whole lot of effort in order for people to have a reaction when they see you on stage. And that's the epitome of Steve Harvey. Like, Steve Harvey just gets up there and you're like, that guy is like the smoothest dude I have ever seen in my life. So that's my number one reason for why I think Steve Harvey. And then like my number two reason for why I think Steve Harvey is one of the greatest stand-up comedians of all time is like his storytelling is insane. His ability to tell stories is crazy. And the thing about Steve is that he'll take his time telling the stories that he needs to tell. He'll smooth it all the way out, which is something that is very, very difficult to do in stand-up, because if you think about stand-ups, right, if you think about it, like, if you're telling a long story, usually that means that the big punchline is in the end. And so if you're telling a story for a long time, that usually means that there aren't as many laughs throughout the journey to getting to the punchline. But Steve Harvey is so good that he can take his absolute sweet time setting up the final punchline that you're having, and that he'll entertain you the entire way through. He'll entertain you the entire way through the journey of the story. One of my favorite bits from him was when he was talking about what happens, the difference between white people and black people getting fired. He told an entire story. He told the whole story of a white man getting fired, and then in comparison, he told the whole story of a black man getting fired. And he took his time, and like when the audience was laughing, he drew it out. Like, it's such an amazing thing that he does. Like, the man is just so gifted with telling stories. And like, I listen to his radio show basically every day basically, and man, like even when he tells stories on there, like he's so engaging. Like, the only other guy who I can think of who tells stories as well as Steve Harvey, or maybe even a little bit better, is Jamie Foxx. Jamie Foxx is an amazing storyteller, and like, and Jamie Foxx has a advantage because he can do impressions, right? But just his ability to tell stories in an entertaining way, and you're just like sitting at the edge of your seat with every single detail he's giving. That's another reason why I think Steve Harvey is, one of the greatest comedians of all time. Number three, and more importantly, man, like his jokes are just like, it's just jokes. The third reason is just jokes. Like, the man's just like funny, and whether it's like bits in his stand-up or bits that he's got in Family Feud that he comes up with on the fly, like, the dude just has a way. I think it's like, it's not just the jokes, it's also like his way of saying things. Like, I feel like a lot of people, if they said the exact same thing that Steve Harvey said in his set, it wouldn't come across as well, because like they don't have like the inflection in the voice, they don't have the delivery, they don't have the attitude that he has. So it's his ability to not just tell jokes, but to perform jokes, right? I'll probably put another clip of him like performing a joke.
I don't know how this works out, but always the ignorantest boy does the talking. I'm standing in the store, they came in and started positioning themselves, and the last one walked in. Boy, his ignorant ass started talking, no education. The white folk didn't know what to do. He walked in and said, "Shh, no, right? Everybody on the goddamn blow." White people just confused. Jesus, what's going on? I said, everybody on the goddamn blow. Now, right away, my ass knew. Cause see, I knew his ignorant ass was trying to say, all right, everybody on the goddamn floor.
But yeah, man, it was Steve Harvey, and yeah, so those are my arguments why I think he's one of the greatest comedians of all time. And just to like close it out, man, like this dude, man, I just hope that the days of like going after him and, you know, going after him on Twitter and stuff like that, make him seem out to be like something that he's not, and, you know, like not for black people and all this stuff. And it's just, all of it is just like such nonsense, because like the dude is just like such an amazing human being who does so much, he does so much for black people, whether it's the Hoodie Awards, whether it's the mentoring camp that he does every year, whether it's just like the nature of his content. His content is very, very, you know, pro-black. You know, man, like this dude is an amazing dude, and like he's certainly one of my inspirations. He's definitely somebody that I want to be like when I'm his age, when I'm 60 years old, you know, still doing it, still charming, still killing it, still free to be himself, still pushing through no matter what controversy comes his way, and a lot of it is unfair. I just think the man is dope, and yeah, so thank you so much for listening once again. I appreciate y'all. Let me know in the comments as usual what you think in the reviews. Thank you so much. Peace.